I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop, I'll shoot you in the back.
Unfortunately, I got a little nervous tonight because Coppville was in the building, so I'm trying to compose myself.
Compose yourself. Don't get nervous. We're back. Another edition of Locked Up with Coppville. And Indian River's back in the news. We got the slap. We got the Mike Marsh. Now we got deputy arrested. And I'm not going to go into the specifics on the case of the deputy arrested or my opinion on that deputy or him being arrested. I'm going to highlight some of the things that are very contradictory and weird about the way the sheriff enforces his people and how he enforces himself and holds himself accountable, because he uses the word accountability. His folks, everything's about his folks. Listen to him talk. Folks, my folks, my folks, my folks. I'm your sheriff. So let's see what he said. What was his statement about the deputy being arrested? And let's see what, let's talk about his accountability here.
Doctor or a deputy or anybody in a trusted position, we're going to hold you accountable. Doesn't matter who you are. We're going to make sure that there's justice for these victims.
So we're going to hold you accountable no matter who you are. Has he ever held himself accountable? He destroyed a family, his own and somebody else's. I believe he made a quick little post, like words. He never got in front of the camera and said, I'm sorry. He did get in front of everybody and say, if you cheat on your wife or you have an affair, you're fired. Those words came out of his mouth at Dodgertown in front of the entire sworn agency, everybody. And that was the standard he set. He broke that standard. Did he hold himself accountable for what he did? That's up to you. What I will say is, though, there are many other incidents that I'm aware of that he didn't hold himself accountable, and he acted very similar to what he, the behavior he talked about the deputy being arrested had as well. So let's go to Facebook, and I'm going to show you some of these comments that are going. If you can't read them, I'll read them aloud. So, some of the comments were, no need to following in the footsteps of his sheriff leader. This is about the deputy being arrested. No need to mention his family. Eric Flowers, you are POS for making a spectacle of this. You'll never get my vote. Clearly, Doge and FBI need to visit Vero Beach. I came across him on Tinder once. That's about the deputy. That this is politically motivated because Ehrman voted against his temper tantrum budget request. I wonder if this has anything to do with the sheriff's recent budget battle with this county commission. So that's some of the stuff that is being said. Do I think it's politically motivated? I don't think the entire investigation is. I believe the spectacle might be politically motivated after the temper tantrum and the way he has acted, not being able to balance his budget. Now he's sending letters and he has money. He doesn't have money. He owes money. It is a disaster in Indian River County. If you're a citizen or a deputy, they'll tell you. They won't tell you. They'll tell me. But it's a disaster. So let's talk about the sheriff's accountability. He has a massive affair, right? During that time that he's having an affair, he's using a county vehicle, just like he said this guy was, driving around. The sheriff is using county gas. He's meeting a mistress in random locations, church parking lots. And I hope he tries to check me one time about saying that what I'm saying is not true, because I got it all. He's meeting her. He's allegedly being intimate in his vehicle with her. So let's talk about that. What we found in the deputy's phone was disturbing in his car. Okay, I'm not going to justify anything that happened in the car, any pictures that were sent on duty, all that. But was the sheriff doing the same thing? He's the sheriff. He's on duty from sun up to sundown on his little cowboy hat and his 6-shooter. He's the guy. He's riding a horse into town as the sheriff. He's on duty 24/7. So going to hotels in Jacksonville with your mistress when you got caught. You're on duty. You're also in a tax-paid hotel room with her. You called me from there, and when you got caught, and that seems like an integrity issue. That seems like, when did you hold yourself accountable for that? You put your wife, your ex-wife, and you put another man and his family through hell. Again, I'm no angel. We all know all the stuff that gets thrown at me. So I know the sympathizers won't care. He had an affair. Big deal. But it's the nature of the affair and the fact that tax dollars were used to facilitate the affair. That's criminal, in my opinion. You're using your position, your money, your ability to be nowhere, your ability to sneak around. Sounds very similar behavior, sneaky behavior to facilitate an affair on duty with taxpayer dollars being spent. You guys can call me anything you want, say anything you want. You cannot deny that's the facts. There is an affair when you get home and you're off duty and you do whatever you want. That's what most people will say. Oh, he's a grown man. He can do whatever he wants. Sure. He swore he wouldn't. And he told everybody he'd fire anybody who did. And what did he do? He never stood in front of everybody and has never stood at that podium where he talks about folks and customer service and accountability. He's never stood there and told you he's sorry. He's never apologized to the man who he wrecked his house. Never once. Can't face the dude. Can't walk up to the dude and say, hey man, I'm sorry. He's a coward. He can't. Let me tell you some of the things he can do though. So he's a stalker as well. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. And again, you can check me on anything you want. Shortly after his affair became public, there was an incident. There were two incidents. I'm gonna document them both or talk about them both. There was two incidents where he stalked criminal. Like everybody else would have been, just like I said before, anybody else would have been held accountable and they'd be on the news as well. So there was an incident at Christ Fellowship Church where the sheriff of Indiana County had to be instructed to not go there. Couldn't go there because of the issue with his still wife telling him, do not come to this church. And the church saying, do not come here when she's here. She's going to church. She's trying to worship God and you're not to come here. Well, he did. And the church contacted his father and said, he's here. He's causing a problem. He is a problem. And they contacted me and I was working that day. It was a Sunday. I don't remember the exact date. I used to know it by heart. I let it go, but I can justify or tell you the day if you ever want to check me. On this day, this Sunday, there was a critical incident in the middle of 45th Street and 66th Avenue where there was two deputies fighting a naked man. So if you ever want to look up Dilks, 45th Street, 66th Ave intersection, there were two other deputies there, Don Robinson and Terry, whatever her last name is now. I'm not going to dump her last name, but there were two deputies fighting somebody. While they were actively fighting that person, I was coordinating while driving. I remember driving down Oslo Road because I was all the way down South County, going west on Oslo Road, and I'm trying to get to that scene. And I had to coordinate the sheriffs to get removed from a church where he was stalking his ex-wife. So eventually the undersheriff was contacted and had to go pick the sheriff up and remove him from that scene. I'm not proud of the fact that this is the first time I'm talking about it. There are many people who have a right to say to me, you should have came forward sooner. You should have been more accountable yourself. And I will concede that. In the narcissistic disaster that is the law enforcement career, and especially the Indiana County Sheriff's Office, you are in an atmosphere where you feel like you cannot speak up or you'll end up randomly drug tested and transferred to the jail. And everything that I knew would happen for just supporting Milo Thornton, I was in fear that would happen. I should have been more accountable then, and I should have spoke up for what was right. And I apologize to everybody in the county and the citizens for not being at that level of accountability at that time and speaking up, because I should have. So let's get that out of the way. I am guilty of not speaking up at the time, but here I am. So I'm driving, trying to coordinate this. He gets picked up and he gets removed from that scene. I'm told that his ex-wife was so in fear of his stalking that she contacted her attorney and reinforced the locks at the house and was very, very upset about this behavior. So after that incident happened and the sheriff was nestled back wherever he was and put up, he was put up. The sheriff was put up. After the sheriff was put up for his behavior, I was called to the Mueller Center by the undersheriff. You check my AVL, car 2015. It's a Tahoe. I don't know if it's still in existence. You can go back and ask for the records, watch my activity that day. I was summoned, and my body camera was on. I was summoned to the Mueller Center, and I was met by the undersheriff. Now, when I mentioned the body camera is on. If I turn it off, Axon will show it was off. When he saw the body cam on me before he had a conversation with me, he instructed me to go put my body camera in the car and leave it so that there were no possible recordings of this conversation that was about to occur. Again, I did it. Not proud of it, but I did it. And I was told that you will never, ever speak of this incident or else. You guys can do whatever you want with that information and take that however you want. But that was the gist of the conversation, that it will never be discussed or else. And I got in a car and left. I was still, friends with the sheriff at this point, and we talked, and I knew he was going through it, but just like, when he had to discipline me for that terrible incident in the front yard where I arrested a crackhead's dad and a crackhead where they were acting like animals, you got to hold people accountable, right? So let's go back to that day, what he said about me, because, I was friends with him and he didn't have any bones about making sure that I was held accountable. So what he said that day is about me: as a sheriff, it's my job to set parameters on what's acceptable and unacceptable behaviors. By holding our deputies accountable, he loves it, we set the lines and boundaries. In this case, the actions seen on body camera were unacceptable and inconsistent with our policies, procedures, and mission. Therefore, it was necessary to correct the behavior and send a message to other deputies that this would not be tolerated. I've broken that incident down a billion times. You can hate it, you can love it. I did not deserve to be demoted. That was not demotable behavior. I was 6 months IA, never relieved of my duties, never put on admin leave, still a sergeant, still going to meetings, still leading guys. That was the result of no longer supporting the administration and the sheriff for his ridiculous behavior, his failure to hold everybody around him accountable. And I hadn't talked to him for months during that investigation. I didn't talk to him for almost a year after, because I did no longer agree with what he did in the past and what he was currently doing. So back to the incident. I'm told never speak of it, and I go. Not too long after, I get another call. I'm working again, and I get told that from his dad that he is again stalking and going to go to Sebastian, to his ex-wife's relative's house, and he's not wanted, and it's going to be a huge issue if he shows up. So here I am again, working. I don't know if it was a weekend, probably. So I had to corral the sheriff a second time, call him, dude, what are you doing, bro? Come on, what's going on? And corral him to the Indian River Mall. And I met with him again at the mall, and I'm like, bro, like, this is twice, dude. You're gonna get arrested. You're gonna get in trouble. And again, I'm not proud. Like, it is what it is. I take responsibility for being in the position where I know everybody involved, and I know that they don't want him arrested. I know I don't want to deal with it, but is he doing things that other people, if a normal citizen called? Yes. I was never asked to make a report. I was never asked to make an arrest. I was never asked to investigate further. So I didn't blow it off, but I knew about it. And when you're in a narcissistic, disastrous administration that's running the sheriff's office, you can't say anything. And again, look what happened to me when I finally did. I said something and supported somebody else, transfers and drug tests, and just misery followed. So I get where it's tough to see something, say something, and I encourage it on my channel. And I wish I would have been better. And just like TikTok and just like um, everything else that I've admitted that I've done wrong, I push to strive to be a better person because of the mistakes I've made. I want to see the sheriff say that. I want to see the sheriff watch this episode and come out and say, you know what, I did make a lot of mistakes that are very similar to the things that I just got done saying about everybody involved, and I want to apologize. Maybe start with, her ex-husband. Maybe you should get a hold of him. Apologize. Hold yourself accountable, folks. Hold yourself accountable. Do the right thing. I don't think you ever will. But so there's 2 incidents where stalking behavior, not normal. This guy is in charge of the entire county. Everything he brags about right now, he's in charge, and that's what he's doing. Now, this isn't, people say, oh, personal attack. Well, is it? Because when he held me accountable for being a supervisor and it was unacceptable, he was going to show everybody, teach everybody a lesson by disciplining me. You should start with yourself. You should start with yourself. I know everything that you've done. I know everything you've done. And I think you should hold yourself accountable, dude. Like, it's not fair for you to stand on TV and only address the things that are convenient now. You did some terrible things. After this second incident, I was in charge of monitoring the sheriff. Unlike his current bodyguard, who drives everywhere, picks his kids up, picks her kids up, babysits. Like I say, the stuff he does, you'll find out that soon. Not like him. I didn't do that. But I was then tasked with having the sheriff of Indiana County's location on my phone at all times to monitor his location to make sure he wasn't going to do stupid things and bother his now ex-wife. The ends that I went for this dude. You talk about betrayal. And I never once asked him I have never contacted him during that 6-month disastrous IA that was handled completely different than any other investigation in history of the sheriff's office. Never once did I ask him for help, a favor. Don't let this happen, because I wasn't worried. I wasn't. I didn't think I was going to get railroaded like I did, but I never once reached out and asked him for help. He did all the time in a true cowardly fashion of the coward of the man he is. He couldn't get through that situation on his own. He needed people, and he needed me. When he wanted to cry in his car, I had to go sit with him. When he had all these problems and all these things going on and all the fuckery he was doing, I had to bail him out. I had to talk to him. When I went through let's go back. When I went through my first incident with my spouse, the IA she went through, I got nothing. I got the cold shoulder from an entire administration and what they knew happened. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. None of them. Well, they did. Lonnie Rich cared, and a lieutenant that works there cared. That's it. Everybody else in that administration didn't care. And even people that knew, like Ross Partee, knew. They didn't care. They didn't care what happened. So fast forward to my investigation, those same people, they saw a broken man, and I was holding it together. Did I get a little rowdy in that front yard? Absolutely. My tactics sucked. I shouldn't have ran up to the car. I should have done 1,000 things different all day long. Folks, your buddy here, Coppville, can admit I'd made mistakes. I did some things wrong out there. I shouldn't have ran up to the car. Shouldn't have. I still stand by the arrest. The Halo law would have covered it now. That 25-foot Halo law would have took mom and dad to jail for running down, getting involved. Didn't exist at the time, but it's called resisting arrest. And you can't run into a scene here nor there. But nobody cared. Nobody cared. Savita started the investigation, railroaded me, my old dope partner, who I was there for him when he got in all his shit. He ran with it, ran right to Consuelo. Consuelo ran with it to Kyle King, and the train ran. Completely routed around my chain of command, completely backdoored, completely sat on a burner. Linda Nolan gets involved, never investigated anything in her life, never a criminal investigation, didn't make DB more than 2-3 months. She quit. She takes over and investigates 2 supervisors as her first internal affairs investigation of any capacity. Bro, that case was cooked. Nobody in that chain, the sheriff, nobody cared about what was happening to 2 people. Nobody. But I cared. I cared back then to sit and listen to a man cry and sit and listen to a man go through it and help him. And I knew his ex-wife. We're very close. And I had to, it was sucked. They actually met at my house back in like 2007, 8, whenever it was. I don't remember the exact date. They met at my house. So I cared and I stayed true. And when I say I stayed true, not other than not maybe speaking up about this sooner, I wasn't involved in all his backdoor fuckery, whatever he's doing now, and all this bullshit he does. I stayed true as a man to somebody that I considered my best friend. We were best mans at each other's wedding. I stayed true. But when I needed help, not even the IA that I went through, the one before that, where I wasn't a subject, nobody was there. This dude didn't care. He was too busy being your Indian River County sheriff to care. He has no feelings. So anybody who looks at this man and thinks he has feelings, he does not. He's awkward, socially awkward. You look at him, he's not normal. He can't handle it. Everything. I'm surprised he's getting on the press now live. I guess it's probably enough distance between everything he did now to start being live again. For the longest time, everything was pre-recorded. All his budget stuff is pre-recorded. He can't sit down and just hold a conversation. He shouts and screams at the people in the budget hearing and acts like a child. But what I'm getting at, the point of this episode is this man has done things that nobody should be able to get away with and be your sheriff. Nobody should be able to act the way he acted. And I'm not even talking about the stuff that's coming. I'm talking about the stuff that's right now. You don't get to do what he did on duty. As you can see, if you do things on duty like use gas, drive around your car, do inappropriate things using your vehicle or the car, you get in trouble. He did it, didn't get in trouble. He used money, goes to Jacksonville, gets caught with his girlfriend, now wife. You don't get to do that stuff. You don't get to preach accountability and all that stuff and get away with that. And just like DUI is, nobody really cares when somebody gets a DUI. Nobody cares about somebody being caught with weed. Nobody cares about people having affairs because, everybody does it. That's fine. Everybody does it. Great. Not everybody's the sheriff who swore to not do these things and to hold himself accountable. And he's never done it. And it's unfortunate because the deputies are suffering from a ridiculous budget crisis because his mind for years has been wrapped up in some check, the affair and the status that he tries to hold after the fact. This dude wears a cowboy hat. He's a Democrat from freaking Maryland. He is not a cowboy under any circumstances. He voted for Barack Obama both elections. He wore Obama clothing. He went to the rallies for Obama in his first term over in Orlando. This dude's a Democrat from Maryland. You have all had the wool pulled over your eyes that this dude is some Republican and some hardcore. And guys I talk to on Facebook, like Sean Elliott, he knows he's a Democrat. Sean knows he's blocked him. He's dealt with him. His behavior is not of a conservative. But anyway, let's make sure I covered everything because I'm going to make this one short and sweet. Yeah, that's all I got to say about it. It's you cannot continue, Eric Flowers, to stand in front of everybody and preach accountability and all this garbage you're talking about when you have skeletons and you have done things that you have never held your own self accountable for. And you turned your back on every single person who was close to you and cared about you, really cared about you. Now you're surrounded with a bunch of cowards who just want status and to tell you everything's okay and to drive you all over the place and babysit and act like morons. What kind of men? What man with a gun needs another man with a gun to babysit him 24 hours a day? Unbelievable. You're paying a captain to babysit you. It's ridiculous. But that's who you are, dude. You're a coward. And it's a shame that when this happened, that you didn't get to have your accountability moment then, because now everybody's going to be like, oh, Dilks is a piece of shit. He just run his mouth. Facts. Everything I said today can be factually backed up. Everything I said today is absolutely accurate and true. And there's more to come. This is just the beginning. And this isn't a threat. This isn't like, look at me. This is My platform is accountability for everybody. I have put everything out there that I have done. I've made mistakes, I've recovered, I've gotten better, and I've tried to be a better human, and I try to connect people in this atmosphere of social media and make good connections. But when I continue to see people pull the wool over everybody's eyes and lie to them and act like they are better than everybody else, when the place is an absolute disaster, I'm not going to sit back, and I'm not going to continue to let it happen. And I'm not just going to sit on Facebook and peck away. I'm going to come here. You have every opportunity. There's a button that says invite. I will send you an invite. You can come on. I know you won't, because you couldn't even handle my shirt being on the Facebook of the sheriff's office. You illegally deleted it. I have public records request out the ass. $400 or $500 I've spent on IAs and emails from July and August. You refuse to answer them. You refuse to send them to me. And I'll close with this. There are people currently working at the Indian River County Sheriff's Office that have done exactly what this other guy has done. I know it. I know it on more than one occasion. There's multiple people who have done this. There's people you've been told to your face, Eric Flowers, that are predators and stalkers. Not just that guy, others. They still work there. You did nothing. You're a coward. You refuse to hold people accountable. You refuse to hold yourself accountable. You hide behind a budget and the false pretenses that you care about the deputies and you want everybody to get more money. No, you're a train wreck. Your life is a train wreck. You're a train wreck, and you're simply using everybody around you to rally. I watched you hand out all those pieces of paper at the county commission meeting and make those people go up and read those statements. I watched you are something else, dude. You are something else. You have no business being in charge. You weren't a good cop. You didn't do anything as a cop. And this is what the people got. And I hope and pray you voters watch this, see this, and understand what you're dealing with. I have no bones about this. This isn't a hit piece to get views. This isn't a hit piece to, I'm mad at this guy. This is for you, the voters of Indian River County, to know who is in charge, because you never get an opportunity to know from somebody close. And here it is. This is it. I will go public with anybody who wants to debate this. I will invite you on. We can talk. We can meet in public. We can record it. Everything will be recorded because I don't trust anybody. But if anybody wants to counter this, anybody wants to debunk this, Tom Rowland, you don't think that happened? You didn't tell me to take my body cam off and say all that? Let's go. Come on. Eric Flowers, if you think anything I said was a lie, let's go. Anthony Zavita, Kyle King, Ross Partee, you're all welcome to use your First Amendment right. Come on and talk to me. Call me a liar. Tell me I'm not telling the truth, because I will back this all up with facts, because I have the receipts for this and lots more. So please check me out on @CopvilleOG on Instagram. I am also the co-owner and co-host of the Anti-Hero Broadcast at the Anti-Hero Broadcast on YouTube and on Instagram. And I'm also co-owner of Counterculture Inc., which is a social media company. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. It's probably deep, a lot more than you guys expected. I don't care. I am not going to sit back and let Indian River County be bamboozled by a crooked administration, crooked people. You guys got more information for me, I will have you on. You want to tell your story, I will have you on. Anybody wants to debate anything I said, I will have you on. This is America. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and make sure you check out all my stuff. Thank you.
I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop, I'll shoot you in the back.
Unfortunately, I got a little nervous tonight because Copville was in the building, so I'm trying to compose myself.